Hey everybody, this is going to be a little more about these concrete form blocks because I get a lot of questions and I got a little comments, about things like don't line up the blocks, which yes, I admit you will probably get a small amount of less cracking between the forms. It could help some, but also most people are thinking about regular blocks where, let me go show you an example of the regular blocks. Now this could be a shock to a lot of people unless they've had something built or built something themselves in the Philippines. But most homes here are done with hollow blocks. I'd say 95 to 97%, 95% I'm gonna say. And these are your standard hollow blocks here in the Philippines. And this is what most homes are built from. You might get some people who, this is a 4-inch. You might get some people who use a 6-inch. This, to me, it's more like a 3-inch, but your hollow blocks used in most countries are at least 6-inch. They have a wide opening, and you will put them on there, stagger them so that you can fill up one hole and it'll go down through the other holes. And on a 6-inch, that's pretty good. But here, and they'll use mortar in most countries to like bind them together, and then they will fill them with grout, which is a mixture of sand and cement and probably some pea gravel, and preferably they're using pea gravel. And here they use concrete with rocks. They try to use smaller rocks, and then they take a tool, and they'll put it on the wherever they're going to put it. They'll put a line of concrete down, and then they'll place it on top of it, get it level, smash it down a little bit. Probably the concrete will go into that hole just a little bit on the bottom, and then they'll keep going in a line, and then on the next row they will put some on top. Let me go grab some and I'll try to show you guys. See, put some down on the ground. And then they will set it down on top. I'm doing it with one hand, and these guys are pretty good craftsmen, but I'm just trying to give you an idea. They'll do it better than I am. Then they'll take, on the next row, they'll take a little bit and they'll try to fill it up. Oh, thanks. Sometimes they're using it much thicker than this, and it's even harder to get in there.
It's hard to fill in, Kuya Meg, no? So, tiny hole.
Yeah.
CHB.
That's what I never understood here, is like the holes are so tiny.
Yeah.
That's
How
what
do
they
you-
used to.
How do you get them in there, you know? A lot of times I've seen them, they just throw some on the top, that's it.
Yeah. So much better the monoblock can
Yeah,
we
so now
easily fill.
I'm gonna get the other one here, hold on.
Yeah. So,
Okay. So now we got
next.
a layer of concrete on there.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
And we will do
try
at
to
the
put
top.
it on top. I don't know if it's gonna stay there or not.
Yeah.
Because this is, what do they call this, 4-inch or 3-inch?
The 4-inch.
4-inch. I don't think it's really 4-inch.
Yeah.
So they try to, I think we got a little bit bigger rock than they use.
Yeah. It's unstable.
But, you know, so they will offset it. It will be staggered.
Yeah.
But you're gonna,
Just like this.
yeah, you're gonna be staggered like that.
Yeah.
And then they will
you, Mark.
just scrape it off,
Yeah.
and then they'll fill up the next
Fill
one.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you say that this 4-inch, Ronald, is about what probably
Only 3 meters. 3.
70% of the homes here are made out of?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that would be a standard
Yeah.
wall. You see the gap in there, but they're not going to worry about it that much, because when they do the rendering over the top, they'll fill in even breaks
Yeah.
like this and stuff. They're not worried about that.
Yeah.
And then when you put it here, there'll be more gaps.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take some videos of some homes that are already put together, and you will see. And these blocks, how many psi do you think these blocks are right here?
Only 200 or 100 psi.
Yeah, 100 or 200 psi. They are not structural.
This is so brittle.
You cannot use it to, yeah, see, he just broke it with his fingers. Do it again, see?
Yeah.
Easy to break.
Yeah.
And these have been curing for over a year.
Yeah.
So they are fully cured and everything. Most of the strength is from what concrete you can get inside, but if they're now if they're building a home using these, what psi do you think they're putting inside the blocks?
They're using just in 150.
150?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a little bit more than that. I'll say 350 maybe. It's a 155 mix. We could calculate it,
Yeah.
and some of them will use a little stronger. Good for them. But then, and then the rendering on the outside, it takes so much rendering because it's so rough. They're so far apart, and sometimes it'll take at least 2 coats, maybe even 3 coats
Skim coats.
Skim coats
Rendering.
and rendering. Yeah, there's usually one that just levels it. Then you can take it apart now.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is, don't even worry about it. That thing's like,
Yeah. It's okay, Kuya Mike?
yeah, don't worry about it. It's nice if you could get it out, but we're not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Rebar.
this is stronger than it would be if it was in a building here, because we're using a very strong mix of concrete. But this is, you know, now if you don't know a lot about construction, then this is what you're gonna get. You know, hopefully you know enough that you can guide them, tell them what you want, show them. You're gonna pay a little more for it, believe me. They're gonna charge you extra, because if they're using this, they can do it pretty cheap. Even the walls, watch out for the walls, because I see a lot of guys on YouTube, they're complaining about their walls, and it's not really their fault. But you know, if you don't know enough, you gotta catch them right when they're starting and find out if they know what they're doing, and tell them you want it strong. The footers, the columns have to be deep. You know, if you got a 6-foot wall, it should probably be at least 4 feet down with a nice big footer on the bottom of it. Nice, you know. You're gonna have, if you have a 10-foot wall or a 9-foot wall, then you're gonna have to have at probably 5 to 6 foot columns underneath the soil. You know, so it's gonna have to be what, a 16-foot beam with a big footer at the bottom to stabilize it. If you have a heavy footer, a big foot at the bottom of the beam, then that's gonna hold it steady, because you're gonna have a lot of weight. You're gonna have the weight of the fence pulling to the side. Then you got heavy winds, and you got typhoons coming and heavy rains, and the soil, depending on the soil, if the soil's real muddy or clay-like, you're gonna even have to make it bigger. You know, this soil here is like pure gesso. It's like concrete. You gotta jackhammer it, so it's very strong, so you really don't need it. Probably for these, I think we had the main supports were about 3 feet deep with a huge footer, you know. But it's because the gesso is so strong, it holds it steady. But you also got to know enough to know that the gesso is very alkaline, which can start premature rusting and cancer of the concrete and the rebar. So it's good to use like a vapor barrier to separate it. And my suggestion, if you're going to build a house, now it depends. If you're going to build a 2-story, then you have to have extremely strong columns, you know. These columns are, how big are these columns? Like
30 by 30.
Huh? 30 centimeters.
12 inch by
12 inch by 12 inch. And there's a couple that are even bigger in there.
Yeah.
But you got to have some strong columns and make sure the concrete is, you know, close to 4,000 psi or even more, you know, it'd be better. And then if you're going to use hollow blocks, you should have some made that are special, that are close to 1,000 psi. It's going to cost quite a bit more. Hollow blocks here are super cheap, you know. Hey Ronald, how much is your 4-inch hollow block here If you buy one the way they are, 17 pesos,
18 to 18 pesos.
something like that, right in that neighborhood. So you can get like almost 4 of them for $1. You know, they're very cheap, but those are almost, I mean, you can, I went to places and looked at them where they just crumble in your hands, you know. So you have to get extremely strong, close to 1,000 psi if you're counting on that to hold up your house, or to, if you're in a storm area or something like that, high winds, you know, don't mess around. Have them made close to 1,000 psi, and then use at least 2,000 to 3,000 psi grout for the inside, which is a liquidy mix that's made of sand, pea gravel, and cement. And you can go on Google and Google what ratio do I mix 2,000 psi concrete or 4,000 psi concrete, and they'll tell you like a 1-2-2 mix. It gets like 3,800 psi. You know, that's 1 bag of cement to 2 bags of sand and 2 bags of gravel. So you need to know that and make sure, especially, you know, if you got a contractor, they might give you a great price, but they're probably going to cut you on materials and not use the quality materials that you really want. Me and my wife, we decided, we built a house before, and you know, they cut costs. We remodeled our other house in the city. You know, they're gonna do what they can to make the money, and even if you think you get the best contractor, that's why we went with an engineer. It's been pretty hot lately, so camera keeps overheating and dying. Hey guys, and also I was gonna say, make sure you use a good rebar. You know, it's good to use 16 millimeter in the columns at least, and 12s and 10s for the walls, and for the stirrups. And now you can always put more in, but it's better to just put in the heavy duty ones. And make sure you use like grade 60 for the 16s at least, and at least 40 for the 10s and 12s, but I'm sure there'll be some arguments on that, and just say 60 for all of it. And you know, there's always people who disagree with quality and stuff, but that, I'm saying at least, you know. And try to make sure you're using a high grade Portland cement, and do a little research into what's available where you're at, and all those things are very important. And make sure they got enough rebar in the walls and in the columns. Try to get it done for earthquake resistance, which I see a lot of them being made that are not. You know, they get the same spacing on their stirrups, on the columns and stuff. You need to find out what that is, or get a good engineer that's modern and up to date, like we do. Ronald, he's a cum laude graduate, and I questioned him a lot before we started. He knew all the answers and and then he said, Kuya Mike, you just buy all the best materials and we will not skimp on anything. We will pour strong concrete. If that's what you want, we're gonna do it. You know, that's why we're doing it. So we buy the materials and they pay the labor, and if we're paying the materials, they can't skimp on buying cheap materials just to save money for their pockets or whatever. And you may get lucky and get a contractor who does exactly what you say, but it's not always the experience you're gonna get, that's for sure. And there's a million other things. If you buy property, don't expect to just start building on it right away. I would say unless the title is clear and absolutely everything, it's gonna probably take a year or more. Everything's pretty slow here. Everything's done by hand, paperwork, in many copies, not triplicate, more than that. And you'd think that you could just go into the office and get a list of things to be done for you to get your title and your tax declaration and all that stuff, but no. You're gonna go in, get like maybe one, maybe two things to do, and then when you come back, they're gonna give you another one you have to do, and then another one, and then another one. So it's always better to just get somebody that's really good at it and that can do it for you, but you can trust. So that's enough for this video. It's hot. We're gonna go back to the city here because a lot of the guys are off today because it was one of their birthdays. They worked extra hard all week, extra hours, so they could do that, and hey, that's okay. And a lot of them are gonna go to the birthday party, and we have one guy that stays here when everybody's gone and watches over stuff, and we will head back to the city. So take care, share, like, and subscribe, and I appreciate everybody. Any questions, let me know. I'll try to help you all I can. Thank you very much. Bye.